But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case.
Inside the expanding federal investigation into illegal gambling and the NBA, federal prosecutors in the United States are widening an already sweeping investigation into illegal gambling tied to National Basketball Association games, signaling that what has been revealed so far may represent only a fraction of a broader and more complex scheme. Court filings and statements made by attorneys from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York indicate that additional NBA games, players, and associates are under active review. While 34 individuals have already been arrested or charged across multiple related cases, prosecutors say the inquiry remains ongoing and that further developments are possible. The investigation, which has unfolded over several years, centers on allegations that gamblers exploited inside information about player health, minutes restrictions, and anticipated performance outcomes to place highly targeted wagers, particularly on player proposition bets, commonly referred to as prop bets. These wagers focus on individual statistical benchmarks rather than final game outcomes. Because of their specificity, prop bets are especially vulnerable to manipulation when insider knowledge is involved. At the center of the case is former Toronto Raptors player Jontay Porter, who pleaded guilty in July 2024 to providing confidential information and facilitating wagers on his own performance. Federal prosecutors allege that Porter deliberately removed himself early from multiple games during the 2023-24 NBA season under the guise of injury or illness, while gamblers placed bets anticipating reduced statistical output. According to court documents, suspicious betting patterns first alerted sportsbooks to irregular activity. Internal compliance teams flagged unusually large wagers on Porter's unders, bets predicting he would fall short of projected points, rebounds, or assists totals. Those alerts were referred to federal authorities, triggering a multi-agency investigation. Porter admitted in federal court that he knowingly shared inside information and coordinated aspects of the betting scheme. Following his guilty plea, the National Basketball Association imposed a lifetime ban, ending his professional career. He is currently awaiting sentencing. Another high-profile figure in the investigation is Terry Rozier, who was charged in connection with the 23rd of March 2023 game between the Charlotte Hornets and the New Orleans Pelicans. Prosecutors allege that Rozier informed an associate in advance that he would leave the game early, and that this information was distributed to bettors who then placed coordinated wagers predicting reduced statistical performance. Rozier has pleaded not guilty. His legal team denies that he intentionally manipulated any game or knowingly shared information for gambling purposes. The case against him remains pending. During the sentencing of defendant Timothy McCormick, who received a 2-year federal prison sentence after pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, Assistant U.S. Attorney David Berman disclosed in open court that McCormick's conduct extended beyond the games already identified in indictments. Prosecutors revealed that additional contests are under scrutiny, though they have not publicly specified how many or which players may be implicated. The investigation has also drawn attention to Malik Beasley, a former Detroit Pistons and Milwaukee Bucks guard. While Beasley has not been charged, he remains under federal investigation. The professional consequences have been significant. Beasley reportedly lost a potential $42 million contract opportunity after teams became aware of the ongoing federal review. He has not signed with an NBA team this season. His attorney has stated that he remains in what he describes as investigative limbo. Federal authorities say the NBA gambling case intersects with a broader criminal enterprise. In October, prosecutors announced charges connected to a high-stakes poker operation allegedly tied to organized crime figures in New York. Among those charged is Hall of Fame guard and former head coach Chauncey Billups. Prosecutors allege that former athletes were used to attract credibility and participants to the illegal poker games. Billups has pleaded not guilty, and his legal representatives deny the allegations. The scope of the investigation extends into college basketball as well. Federal prosecutors in Pennsylvania have brought charges in a separate point-shaving case involving Division I programs. Authorities allege that at least 39 players across 17 schools were recruited to influence outcomes in 29 games. Some defendants overlap between the NBA and college investigations, further underscoring what prosecutors describe as a coordinated and expanding network. Legal experts say the case highlights vulnerabilities that have emerged since sports betting expanded rapidly across the United States following the Supreme Court's 2018 decision striking down the federal ban on state-sponsored sports gambling. In the years since, legalized wagering has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Professional leagues, including the NBA, have entered into partnerships with sportsbooks, integrating betting data and advertising into broadcasts and digital platforms. While federal prosecutors have not alleged wrongdoing by the league itself, the investigation has intensified scrutiny of the relationship between professional sports and gambling operators. The NBA has stated publicly that it is cooperating fully with authorities and working with regulators to evaluate potential restrictions on certain types of wagers, particularly player prop bets. League spokesperson Mike Bass has said the NBA's highest priority is preserving the integrity of the game. Behind the scenes, the league has reportedly expanded its internal compliance systems, enhanced data monitoring partnerships with sportsbooks, and reviewed educational programs aimed at players and team personnel. For players, the league's gambling policy is clear: wagering on NBA games, sharing inside information, or manipulating performance can result in severe disciplinary action, including lifetime bans. Yet prosecutors argue that enforcement challenges increase as betting markets grow more sophisticated and decentralized. The investigation has also revealed the role of digital communication platforms in coordinating bets. Court documents describe encrypted messaging applications used to share lineups, injury updates, and playing time projections before they were made public. Investigators allege that betting syndicates analyzed this data to place strategic wagers within narrow time windows before sportsbooks adjusted their lines. Sportsbooks themselves have become critical participants in detecting irregular activity. Many operators employ integrity monitoring services that track unusual betting volumes or patterns. In several instances cited in indictments, sportsbooks halted betting markets after observing anomalies, preserving transactional data that later became evidence. Federal prosecutors emphasize that the case is far from complete. As of late January 2026, 34 individuals have been arrested or charged across multiple connected cases involving illegal gambling, wire fraud, conspiracy, and related offenses. Several defendants have pleaded guilty, others await trial. Legal analysts say additional charges could emerge if investigators determine that more games were compromised or that other individuals knowingly facilitated wagering schemes. Prosecutors have declined to speculate publicly about future indictments. For now, the message from federal authorities is measured but firm: the integrity of professional basketball is under active examination. The full scope of the alleged scheme, they say, has not yet been revealed. As the investigation continues, it raises broader questions about the balance between commercial opportunity and competitive integrity in modern sports. With legalized betting deeply embedded in the professional sports ecosystem, regulators, leagues, and law enforcement agencies face mounting pressure to ensure that the games themselves remain beyond reproach. This is a developing story. Federal prosecutors have made clear that their work is ongoing. Additional games are under review. Additional individuals may be charged. And until the investigation concludes, the true extent of the alleged gambling network surrounding NBA contests may remain only partially visible. For professional basketball, the outcome of this case could shape policy, partnerships, and player oversight for years to come. Federal authorities expand investigation into illegal gambling on NBA games. Federal prosecutors in the United States are expanding an investigation into illegal gambling on NBA games, examining additional contests and individuals beyond those already named in federal indictments, according to statements made in court and filings from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York. The investigation, which has unfolded over several years, has already resulted in the arrest and charging of 34 people and has exposed what prosecutors describe as a coordinated effort to exploit professional basketball games through the use of insider information and manipulated player participation. Authorities have confirmed that the games publicly identified so far represent only part of the conduct under review. Lawyers for the federal government have said in open court that additional NBA games may have been compromised and that their inquiry remains active. The full scope of the investigation has not been disclosed, and prosecutors have declined to say whether further charges against players or associates are imminent. The case centers on allegations that gamblers used non-public information about NBA players' health, playing time, and performance expectations to place highly targeted wagers, particularly on player prop bets. These bets allow gamblers to wager on individual statistics rather than game outcomes, making them especially sensitive to inside information. Federal investigators say this type of betting became increasingly vulnerable as legalized sports gambling expanded across the United States in recent years. Among the players named in the investigation is Terry Rozier, a guard who played for the Charlotte Hornets during the 2022-23 season and later joined the Miami Heat. Rozier was charged in October after prosecutors alleged that he participated in a scheme to provide advance knowledge of his playing status during the 23rd of March 2023 game between the Hornets and the New Orleans Pelicans. According to the indictment, Rozier informed an associate that he would leave the game early. Prosecutors say that information was then distributed to bettors, who placed wagers predicting that Rozier would underperform in points, rebounds, assists, and three-point shooting. The betting activity surrounding that game was flagged by sportsbooks as unusual, prompting internal investigations that were eventually referred to federal authorities. Prosecutors allege that thousands of dollars were wagered based on the information. Rozier has pleaded not guilty to all charges, and his legal team has denied that he intentionally manipulated any game or shared information for gambling purposes. Another central figure in the investigation is Jontay Porter, a former center for the Toronto Raptors. Prosecutors allege that Porter deliberately removed himself early from 2 Raptors games during the 2023-24 season, citing health concerns while allegedly coordinating with gamblers who had placed bets on his limited statistical output. Porter was charged and pleaded guilty in July 2024. He admitted to providing inside information and facilitating wagers on his own performance. The NBA banned Porter from the league following his guilty plea, effectively ending his professional basketball career. He is currently awaiting sentencing. 4 other men were charged with assisting in the planning of the scheme involving Porter and placing bets on his performances. 3 of them have pleaded guilty. One of those men, Timothy McCormick, was sentenced last week to 2 years in federal prison after pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud. McCormick admitted that he personally placed bets on games involving both Porter and Rozier. During McCormick's sentencing, federal prosecutors revealed that his conduct extended beyond the games already named in indictments. Assistant U.S. Attorney David Berman told the court that the government's investigation remains ongoing and that McCormick had engaged in similar conduct in other instances that have not yet been made public. Prosecutors did not specify how many additional games are under investigation or whether other NBA players may be implicated. Court filings list several NBA games that have already been linked to suspicious betting activity, including the 23rd of March 2023 Hornets-Pelicans game, the 26th of January 2024 Clippers-Raptors game, and the 20th of March 2024 Kings-Raptors game. Prosecutors have stated that these games are part of a broader pattern of conduct that remains under review. The NBA has said it is cooperating fully with federal authorities. In a statement, league spokesperson Mike Bass said the NBA continues to assist investigators and is working with federal and state regulators to evaluate appropriate limitations on the types of bets placed on NBA games. Bass said the league's highest priority is maintaining the integrity of the sport. The investigation has also drawn attention to other NBA players who have not been charged but remain under scrutiny. Former Detroit Pistons and Milwaukee Bucks guard Malik Beasley is still under federal investigation for possible illegal sports gambling. Although no charges have been filed, the investigation has had significant professional consequences. Beasley lost the opportunity to sign a $42 million contract during the offseason after teams learned he was under federal review. He has not signed with an NBA team and has not played this season. His attorney has said Beasley remains in what he described as investigative limbo, unable to move forward with his career. Federal prosecutors have indicated that the NBA gambling case is connected to a wider criminal network. In October, authorities announced charges related to a high-stakes poker ring allegedly operated in conjunction with organized crime figures in New York. Prosecutors say the poker operation used well-known former athletes to attract participants and lend legitimacy to the games. Among those charged in the poker-related case is Chauncey Billups, the Hall of Fame guard and former Portland Trail Blazers head coach. Prosecutors allege that Billups was one of several former athletes used as bait in the operation. Billups has pleaded not guilty, and his legal team has denied the allegations. The scope of the investigation extends beyond professional basketball. Federal prosecutors in Pennsylvania have brought charges in a separate but related college basketball point-shaving case. Authorities allege that gamblers recruited at least 39 players across 17 Division I schools to influence outcomes in 29 games. Some individuals charged in the NBA case, including Marv's Fairley and Shane Hennon, have also been indicted in the college basketball investigation. Both have pleaded not guilty. Former LSU star and NBA player Antonio Blakeney was charged earlier in the college basketball case. Federal officials have emphasized that the investigation is ongoing and that additional charges are possible. As of late January 2026, 34 people have been arrested or charged across multiple cases linked to illegal gambling, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Several defendants have pleaded guilty, while others await trial. The investigation has intensified scrutiny of the relationship between professional sports leagues and legalized gambling. Since sports betting became legal in many states, leagues including the NBA have entered into sponsorship agreements with sportsbooks and promoted betting-related content. Federal authorities have not alleged wrongdoing by the league itself, but the case has raised questions about whether existing safeguards were sufficient to detect and prevent manipulation. Prosecutors have not said when the investigation will conclude or whether additional NBA players will be charged. They have stated only that the inquiry continues and that they are reviewing further games and betting activity. For now, the federal government's message remains that the integrity of professional basketball is under active examination and that the full extent of the alleged gambling scheme has yet to be revealed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.